So you're standing in a house that could be the one. The light's hitting it just right. You've already mentally placed your furniture. You're excited and you're nervous. You're about to make one of the biggest financial decisions of your life. Your real estate agent is smiling and telling you everything you want to hear. But what if they're lying? What if their advice is just a trick to get a bigger commission check? Look, the world is full of amazing and ethical real estate agents. But like any industry, real estate has some dark corners where half-truths and manipulations are used to close a deal. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on the 5 biggest and most damaging lies I've seen agents tell homebuyers throughout the course of my long career. My name is Tracy Thrower Conyers, and I'm a 2-decade real estate professional, former consumer fraud attorney, and longtime buyer advocate. I've worked with some truly amazing agents who would do anything for their clients, and I've seen others who would say anything to close a deal. The industry is full of scripts and high-pressure tactics, all designed to get you to do one thing: sign on the dotted line. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to prepare you and show you a solid strategy for identifying and avoiding lying agents. Of the lies I'm covering today, lie number 1 is the sneakiest. Lie number 3 will probably surprise you the most. And lie number 5 is the biggest disservice to homebuyers in the history of real estate. For each lie, I'll cover what the lie is, which agent in the transaction you're most likely to hear it from, why the lie is dangerous, and how it can cost you a boatload of money as a home buyer. Let's dig in. The first lie is the one that I call pay me twice. And this is the one I call the sneakiest of the 5 lies. Lie number 1 is that dual agency is no big deal and is actually very convenient for all the parties involved. So what is dual agency? It's where the listing agent represents both the seller and the buyer. And it sucks for buyers because they come to the deal late. Just think about it. The seller wants the most money for the property, and the buyer wants to pay the least. The seller doesn't want to fix the broken pool pump, and the buyer thinks the price being paid justifies having all home systems in working order. How can one agent zealously represent both sides in these scenarios? Or as I like to put it, would you use the other guy's lawyer when he sues you? Dual agency is so shady, it's actually illegal in 8 states. So who tells this lie? This one is going to come from somebody on the seller's side. It might be the listing agent who shows you the property in a private showing, or it might be a member of the listing agent's team hosting an open house that you walk into. You express an interest in the house, and that person says, hey, I can help you submit an offer that will really get the seller's attention. And the deal will be so much more efficient with me or my team on both sides of the deal. And that sounds so very appealing to you. I mean, who can resist an easy, simple, and surefire deal? Am I right? The lie here is that the agent and his or her team already owe duties to the seller to maximize price. That duty is not in your best interests as a buyer. And even if you do sign a representation agreement providing you with your own set of duties from the agent, how can one person really fulfill opposing interests to the fullest extent on both sides? Somebody is going to get screwed. Do you want that somebody to be you? And before you think the junior agent can adequately represent you while the listing agent represents the seller, stop to think about whether that junior agent will really keep your secrets as the deal gets negotiated. The junior agent works for the listing agent. That junior agent will throw you under the bus in a New York minute to curry favor with the boss and collect his or her commission. And do you even want the junior agent representing you versus the senior listing agent representing the seller? Which one do you think is going to do a better job of negotiating the deal? And by the way, negotiating the offer is not the only negotiation you face in your home buying journey. Escrow is one long list of negotiations, from whether extensions will be granted, to who pays for problems that turn up in inspections, to what happens if the property doesn't appraise. Here's the deal with dual agents. You just don't know what the agents are telling each other behind the scenes. Maybe your representative lets it slip that you have family money behind you and could easily afford to pay 10 grand more than you offered. And at this point, you might be saying to yourself, maybe I'll get the insider information. But don't forget that you came second to this party. Does it really make sense to think that you're the one who's going to reap the benefits of dual agency? And maybe everything will turn out above board and in your best interests, but you just don't know what's going on behind the scenes. At best, a dual agent becomes a neutral middleman, anxious to hold the deal together and collect a commission. The odds are not ever in your favor, and you may find yourself in some kind of surreal Hunger Games scenario with that dual agent. Lie number 2 is the lie that anybody could represent you, including Aunt Betty, because everything you or your agent needs to know is on the internet. Cue the eye roll. This is a lie that gets told to you by your prospective buyer agent and or a listing agent from out of the area. The deception here is that the agent who doesn't know the area is flying blind, and that matters. They won't know about impending zoning changes that are going to make home values plummet. They won't know that houses on opposite sides of the street should be valued differently. Local experts also know about potential adjacent markets that might be cheaper and still achieve your home buying goals. Don't fall for lie number 2. Hire a local expert in your target neighborhood. I know you want to hire Aunt Betty or that friend of a friend of a friend, but can you really afford or want to pay this premium for that hire? Before we get to lie number 3, the one that I call the surprising lie, let's talk for a minute about your antidote to these lies. You can't control who the listing agent is, but you can 100% control who your buyer agent is. And I developed Buyer Agent Game Plan to help home buyers find, vet, and hire the exact right agent for their unique situation. And spoiler alert, the exact right agent for you is somebody who can spot and control lies by the listing agent. Check out the program and find yourself a strong agent to help you navigate the challenges of your home buying journey. Lie number 3 is the oldest pressure tactic in the entire playbook. Yet I still find it surprising every time I see it used in a regulated market like real estate. You finally find a house you love, the kitchen is perfect, the yard is amazing, and you can already see yourself living there. You tell your agent you're excited, and they hit you with this. That's awesome, but we have to move now. I just heard they already have another offer. We have to go in with your absolute highest offer or you're going to lose the house. This lie could come from your buyer agent or the listing agent or both. The deception is that you just don't know whether the statement is true. And it matters if there's competition for the property. Most agents understand that it's not cool to outright lie, so they tend to hedge with another offer is coming or some other soft language to convey the same idea. Here in California, where I represent buyers, the seller is required to counter the buyer's offer with a form called the SMCO, or Seller's Multiple Counter Offer. The presumption is that a seller wouldn't sign this legal form without actual multiple offers. But again, you just never know whether the listing agent is trustworthy. If a form like this doesn't exist in your state, you're even more at risk. Whether the claim is a lie or truth, buyers are still at risk of making financial mistakes with the FOMO juices flowing. If you're buying in a hot market, make sure you've hired an agent you trust and that you have discussed multiple offer scenarios before you find and fall in love with your first property. Does this lie surprise you? The bald manipulation of this lie is what never ceases to amaze me. And sadly, I've seen it tried many times over the course of my career. Lie number 4. Again, you found the one. It's at the absolute top of your budget, but you're ready to go for it. Your agent tells you, in this market, you got to come in strong. If you don't offer the asking price, they won't even consider your offer. It sounds like your agent is trying to be helpful, but are they? Nope. Pushing you to offer list price is a strategy designed either to fatten the agent's commission or is simply being used by a lazy agent who doesn't want to do the homework to suggest another number. The list price is not any magical number. It's a price the seller and their listing agent just came up with. You don't even know if there's any basis for this number. This lie could come from either side. The listing agent might claim the seller won't entertain any offers below asking, or maybe the buyer agent is saying this just to make their life easier. The deception is that the listing price is just a number and needs data to be proven. This is especially important if you're buying with a mortgage, because you don't want to get 3 weeks into escrow and find out the property is not going to appraise for the seller's aspirational list price. Your agent needs to be showing you recent comparable sales before you pick your price. And should you try a lowball offer just because? Absolutely not if you like the house. There is no rule that requires the seller to respond to your offer, even if it's the only offer on the table. And if there are other better offers, the seller is not going to dialogue with any buyer who plays games. And if you don't care about the house, why would you want to burn your own agent with the burden of writing an offer for a house you aren't serious about owning? No, act in good faith, but pick your price based on facts, not a number the seller pulled out of thin air. And be prepared to walk away if the seller is not going to have a reasonable conversation about a factually driven price. And by the way, there are plenty of listing agents who will put a house on the market with the seller's aspirational price. Lie number 5 is a claim that the buyer's agent is free, a claim that's been made for decades in real estate. The truth behind this lie will shock you, and it's such a whopper and still so confusing after the recent commission lawsuits that I've dedicated a whole video to this topic. I want buyers to fully understand the lie so that they can combat it. Watch the video on your screen next and learn the shocking truth about who pays the buyer's agent. Oh, and by the way, I do provide a strategy in that video for shifting the payment to the seller.